I stand before you as the granddaughter of an iron ore miner, as the daughter of a teacher and a newspaperman, as the first woman elected to the United States Senate from the state of Minnesota, to announce my candidacy for President of the United States.
And there you see Senator Amy Klobuchar announcing a run for president. Very snowy Minnesota on Sunday. Welcome.
Thank you,
to
George.
GMA. So we all saw you push those words out. What does it feel like to say that? I'm running for president of the United States.
It feels like it is a major, major burden that you have to do this right, that you have to get to this point where you decide, I'm going to go through this. I believe I'll be a good president, and our nation is tired of being governed by chaos, that we need to be governed by opportunity. And so that's what I talked about yesterday in that huge snowstorm.
There's a huge snowstorm. It is also going to be a huge Democratic field running for the chance to run against President Trump. What do you bring to the race that no one else is offering, that only you are bringing?
Snow. I bring a background of growing up in the heartland. I bring some grit to the race that comes from being the granddaughter of an iron ore miner and the daughter of a teacher and a newspaperman, and someone that has risen to the challenges every time I get a job. I did that as prosecutor for 8 years. I did that in the Senate. The president signed in the last 2 years 34 of my bills into law that I've led or been the lead Democrat on, and I like to get things done. And then I think finally, I don't think anyone is talking enough about the challenges that are the challenges of our day. These are challenges like the digital disruption and the changes that it's making to the workforce, the need for privacy laws, and no one is willing to take on the tech companies. I am. The need to do something about prescription drugs. My guest to the State of the Union has a son who had to ration his insulin, a restaurant manager, because it got so expensive. And then he ended up dying. That is what's happening right now in America. And so we need to bring down the prescription drug prices. We need to make it easier for families. And we have to do something about climate change.
Well, you mentioned that. I caught the president's eye yesterday. You probably saw that tweet. I'm sure you saw his tweet. Right after you were announcing, he says you're out there talking proudly of fighting global warming while standing in a virtual blizzard of snow, ice, and freezing temperatures. Bad timing. By the end of her speech, she looked like a snowman woman. So you've got your nickname.
Snow Woman?
Snow Woman.
It could be so much worse.
But he's saying basically if it's snowing, we don't have a problem.
Okay, that is so wrong. I'm sorry if it still snows in the world, but the point is that we know climate change is happening. Just this last year, it was one of the 4th hottest years in the history of the world. That's what's happening right now. We see this Greenland ice sheet melting. Look at those wildfires in Colorado and California, where you had to have a dad trying to get through a fire, trying to calm his kid down in a car. That's what's happening right now in this country. So that's why I think we cannot ignore it. And what I said to him back was, I'd like to see, when he called me a snow woman, I'd like to see how his hair would fare in a blizzard.
Well, that's... Well, then you just answered my next question, because I was going to ask you, he posed some challenges to Hillary Clinton running against him. She never quite figured it out. How do you handle things like the tweets, things like being called names?
First of all, you don't go down the rabbit hole with everything he says. You've got to have your own optimistic economic agenda, and Hillary had that. She would have been a tremendous president, but it got lost in that campaign. So you have to pick your battles with him, and I think you have to use some humor, like I got to do yesterday right away, because you just can't take everything seriously. He's trying to get into every story that you have, and you have to set your own agenda, and that's the only way we're going to move forward as a country. As I said yesterday, we need to cross the river of our divides. As I stood before this snowy Mississippi River, America's greatest river, we have to cross the river of our divides, walk over America's sturdy bridge to a higher ground in our politics.
One of the raps on you is that you're a tough boss, as you know that. Several stories have come out in the last week, high staff turnover in the Senate. What do you think is fair about that criticism, and what have you learned from it?
Well, first of all, I love my staff. I wouldn't be where I am, and we wouldn't be able to pass all those bills and do all that work if we didn't have great staff. I am tough. I push people, that is true. But my point is that I have high expectations for myself. I have high expectations for the people that work for me, and I have high expectations for this country.
Are you ready for all the scrutiny that comes in running for president?
Yes, I am. I have grit, as you could see yesterday. Not everyone would have stood out there where I looked like I was getting older by the minute as the snow mounted on my hair. And I am someone that throughout my life has overcome adversity, whether it was my dad struggling with alcoholism his whole life, whether it was my daughter being born, she couldn't swallow. We didn't know if she was going to live. She spent a year and a half with a tube in her stomach, and that's how we fed her. And we just kept going, and we rose to that occasion. And she is now living in New York City, her first job, and a great kid.
Hope you get to have lunch with her today. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you, George.
Thank
It
you,
was great to be on.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.